Your brain loses 10% of its dopamine every decade. By the time you hit 55, nearly a third of the chemical that kept you patient, motivated, and able to shrug things off is gone. And that's just the start, because dopamine loss doesn't happen alone. It drags 5 or 6 other things down with it, things nobody warned you about. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what those things are, what they're doing to you right now, and the one mental shift that can actually stop the bleeding. My name's Frank, and I've been watching you. Not in a weird way, of course, more like a very detailed, very focused, slightly obsessive way. Okay, that's still pretty weird when I think about it. Anyway, I've been going through clinical studies, medical journals, thousands of firsthand accounts from people your age, people on Reddit, people in therapy, people yelling at their kids and not understanding why. And what I found is absolutely mind-blowing. See, the common explanation for why you're angrier now goes something like, oh, you're just less tolerant of nonsense. And sure, that's part of it, but that explanation covers about 10% of what's actually happening. The other 90%? That's biology, chemistry, and a slow motion ambush that started in your mid-30s. You think you have an attitude problem. You don't. You have a hardware problem, and the software is trying to compensate. So here's where it starts. Your dopamine system, the part of your brain that makes you feel rewarded, that gives you the little hit of satisfaction when something goes right, starts shrinking after your mid-20s. Researchers at UCL confirmed this back in 2016, and it's been backed up repeatedly since. 10% per decade gone. What does that mean in your daily life? It means the things that used to feel good, finishing a project, a clean kitchen, a Saturday with nothing planned, don't hit the same anymore. The reward is quieter, smaller. And when your brain stops getting rewarded for the little things, it starts noticing the bad things more. That annoying coworker used to roll off you. Now, you're grinding your teeth. That traffic jam used to be background noise. Now, it's a personal attack. This isn't a personality change. This is a chemical supply problem. Your brain's reward system is running on fumes, which means your frustration system is running unopposed. And that leads directly to the next domino. While your dopamine is draining, something else is happening. If you're a man, your testosterone is falling, about 1% per year after 40. If you're a woman, your estrogen is doing the same thing, starting around your late 40s. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. You'd think lower testosterone would make men calmer, less aggressive, less fired up. That's the stereotype, right? Big T equals big rage? Wrong. Dr. Jed Diamond, a psychotherapist who studied this for over 20 years, coined a term for it. Irritable Male Syndrome. Low testosterone doesn't make men peaceful. It makes them edgy, sensitive, easily frustrated, anxious, short-tempered. Because testosterone doesn't just drive aggression. It drives confidence, emotional stability, and stress tolerance. Take that away, and what you get is a man who feels like the world is picking a fight with him every single day. And most men don't describe it as a hormone problem. They describe it the way one guy on Reddit did. A reply buried in a thread full of men wondering why they're suddenly angry all the time. He wrote, "That might be from a reduction in your bullshit tolerance. Mine hovers around 0. That Reddit comment got almost 300 upvotes from men who felt the exact same thing. 249 people piled into that thread saying, "Me too." Not because they're dramatic, because their chemistry changed and nobody told them what was happening. And for women, it's a different version of the same trap. A study published in the journal Menopause in July 2025 tracked over 500 women between the ages of 35 and 55. And they found something interesting. Outward expressions of anger, blowing up, snapping, hostility, those actually decreased after 50. Sounds good, right? Except the anger that was kept inside, swallowed, pushed down, stuffed, that didn't decrease at all. Same amount, same intensity. It just went underground. And the women who carried that suppressed anger through perimenopause, they were significantly more likely to develop severe depression. So the men are exploding outward and not understanding why. The women are imploding inward and not understanding why. But the engine behind both? Hormones crashing into a body that's already low on dopamine. And that stacked problem creates the next one. Your prefrontal cortex, that's the front part of your brain, is your brake pedal. When someone cuts you off, it's the part that says, don't react, don't yell, it's not worth it. When your kid spills something for the fourth time, it's the part that keeps your voice level. Research published in Social Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience found that as you age, your prefrontal cortex has to work harder to do the same job it used to do easily. The brain shifts from using efficient lateral processing to relying more on the medial regions, and that switch is slower, clunkier, less reliable under stress. Meanwhile, your amygdala, the alarm system that screams threat, is still firing at full speed. Maybe even faster because it's been trained by decades of real threats, real disappointments, and real losses. Imagine driving a car where the brakes get softer every year, but the engine gets louder. That's your brain at 50, at 60, at 70. The people around you are seeing you snap at things that wouldn't have bothered you 10 years ago, and they're thinking, what happened to you? Nothing happened to you. Something happened inside you. Your emotional braking system is wearing down while the things that trigger your alarm are piling up. And what piles those triggers up faster than anything else? In 2025, the Mather Institute released a nationally representative study of over 2,500 Gen Xers, people between the ages of 44 and 59. What they found was bleak. 69% rated their stress as moderate to extreme. Only 45% said their mental health was very good or better. Compare that to boomers, where 57% said the same thing. Gen X is reporting worse mental health than the generation above them. And the number one stressor? Money. 43% said finances were their biggest source of pressure, followed by family and career, tied at 19% each. 33% of Gen Xers in that study were actively caring for aging parents while still raising their own children at the same time. That's the sandwich generation. You're not in one pressure cooker, you're in three. Now stack that on top of what we've already covered. Your dopamine is low. Your hormones are shifting. Your brain's braking system is wearing thin. And now, on top of all of that, you're financially stressed, career pressed, raising kids who need you, and watching your parents need you too. That stress floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol does something specific. It suppresses the dopamine and testosterone you already don't have enough of. Stress doesn't just add to the problem, it multiplies every problem you already had. So now you're in a loop, a chemical feedback loop. Less dopamine, more stress, more cortisol, even less dopamine, even more irritability, worse sleep, worse hormones, and around it goes. But you don't feel any of that as chemistry. You feel it as, everyone around me is an idiot and I can't take it anymore. Which brings us to the part nobody talks about. On that same Reddit thread, the one with 249 comments about getting angrier with age, a user named Pickle Minion shared something that stopped people in their tracks. He said, "Last time I felt like I was becoming irrationally angry or irritable, and it was increasingly difficult to be chill about things. Turns out it was depression." Depression. Not sadness, depression. Here's something the medical community has known for years, but the general public still hasn't absorbed. According to research compiled from the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, roughly 40% of people diagnosed with major depression don't feel sad as their main symptom. They feel angry, irritable, hostile, restless. And men are hit with this version far more than women. Johns Hopkins psychiatrist Andrew Angelino put it simply: women with depression may come in crying. Men may come in acting out in anger. So picture this: a 52-year-old man. His dopamine has been dropping for 25 years. His testosterone has been declining for 12. He's sleeping poorly, which, by the way, damages dopamine receptors even further, according to the Mental Health America research on sleep. He's financially squeezed. He's watching his parents get sick. His kids need things. His boss needs things. His wife needs things. He has zero time for himself. And slowly, over months and years, depression creeps in. Not as tears, not as hopelessness, but as a short fuse, as yelling at his kids and then hating himself for it afterward, as road rage, as cutting off friends, as thinking, I used to be a good person. What happened to me? Another commenter on that thread, u/BS1, said it perfectly. Women tend to cry when they're depressed. Men tend to get mean. I've been there, and it's really tough when you hate how you treat your kids. That's not a character flaw. That's an undiagnosed medical condition wearing the disguise of a bad temper. But now you might be thinking, okay, so it's chemicals, hormones, stress, and maybe depression. That's a lot of problems. Is there a way to stop the slide? There is. And it starts with a concept one Reddit commenter named Lego Leonidas dropped in just 2 sentences. He wrote, "Gotta nip that in the bud. Neuroplasticity. The more often you react in a certain way, the more likely you are to react that way in the future. Don't let your brain train you to be an asshole." He's right, and the science backs him up. Neuroplasticity works both ways. Every time you blow up, your brain makes that pathway a little deeper, a little faster, a little more automatic. The anger becomes the default, not because you chose it, but because you rehearsed it, without knowing you were rehearsing. But the opposite is also true. Every time you catch yourself, every time you take that breath, walk away from the argument, choose not to send that text, you start carving a new groove. It's slow, it's hard. It feels unnatural because you're literally fighting your own wiring. But the groove gets deeper with every rep. Stanford researchers have documented this. The calm response builds on itself exactly the same way the anger response builds on itself. And this is where the therapist from that Reddit thread adds something worth hearing. A user named Free Little Bird, an actual practicing therapist, said they see this in older clients all the time. The anger comes from real loss. Loss of ability, loss of friends, loss of independence, loss of identity. And unless someone names those losses out loud, the grief just sits there and rots into resentment. The fix isn't one thing. There's no magic supplement, but there's a sequence. First, you name what's actually happening. Not, "I'm becoming a jerk," but "my chemistry changed, my load increased, and I never adjusted for either." Second, you get the blood work. Testosterone, thyroid, vitamin D, inflammation markers. You'd be shocked how many men in that Reddit thread discovered the answer was medical, not psychological. One guy found out he had a pituitary tumor throwing his hormones off. Another got on a low-dose, non-SSRI antidepressant and said it was like the lights came back on. Third, you protect the dopamine you still have. Sleep, exercise, sunlight, less screen time, less alcohol. One commenter tracked his irritability against his screen time and found they moved in lockstep. The more he scrolled, the angrier he got. Here's the part I keep coming back to. Out of 249 responses in that thread, the single most upvoted comment was a joke. My bullshit tolerance hovers around 0. 300 people laughed and agreed. But buried deeper in the thread, a guy named Dramatic Erraticism, real username, wrote something that didn't get nearly as many upvotes, but hit a lot harder. He said, "As you age, there are few good surprises. You hurt more. You are let down by what you got from life and what the world has given you. You feel underappreciated, lonely, isolated, and like the world doesn't give a damn about what a man goes through. So why should you give a damn about anyone else? However we are feeling inside is reflected outward, into the world. That's the real answer. You're not angry at the cashier. You're not angry at traffic. You're not angry at your kids for being loud. You're angry because something inside you is grieving, and nobody, not your doctor, not your spouse, not your friends, and definitely not you, ever called it that. You were never a bad person. Your body changed. Your brain changed. Your life got heavier. And the version of you that used to handle all of it ran out of the chemicals it needed to keep handling it quietly. Now you know. So the question isn't, why am I so angry anymore? The question is, what are you actually going to do about it? Now, I know you are tired of hearing me talk your ear off, but if you found any value in this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. And also check out this video next. I'm pretty sure you would love it. I'll see you there.